Anda sedang menonton Podcast ApeCer by Bank Muamalat. Donald Trump, what is the first thing on your mind?
It raises the cost of doing business. If it stays as it is now, that's bad.
Why do some clients, they prefer boutique consulting firms?
Smaller firms, smaller bureaucracy. Decisions can change and shift a lot faster.
Most of the time, you hate the lecturers that come up with topics or questions that's out of syllabus.
Correct, right? It happens, right? Last minute, how come out this one?
But in real life working world, everything is out of syllabus.
Now, how is our economy actually doing right now?
I think we are doing okay, but I think we have seen worse lah. COVID-19, right? We survived, I
It
think.
was unknown.
Now is the time for us to take questions from the floor.
But how can we actually push for innovation-driven growth? All of our talents are leaving the country.
Beyond government intervention, you need to think about yourself. If you continue to rely on government will do the magic, you won't go far. Trust me.
Hi everybody, Assalamualaikum and welcome to ApeCer by Bank Muamalat. I'm sure you guys have been watching our previous episodes already, di mana dalam podcast ini kita akan bersembang tentang macam-macam yang berkaitan dengan finance ataupun macam mana cara terbaik kita mengumpul duit untuk hari tua dan sebagainya. Okay, so basically it's an all-round podcast about managing your finances well. And before this, we were only recording it in a closed studio where it was just me and also our panelists. And in case you forgot my name, it's me, Kianu Azman. Got fans or not? Can scream or not? Previously, in a closed room, I could not bring my fans along. But this time around, we are right here at University Malaya. Yes, we are expanding right now. We want to make sure there's a crowd here. And of course, as always, all of the podcast episodes is not going to be just me myself because I don't have enough expertise to be talking about everything finance related or business related and whatnot. So today, we are very, very honored to be with three very important individuals. First of all, we've got Dr. Afzanizam, or Dr. Nizam for short. Hi, Dr. Nizam.
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
Now, Dr. Nizam is a very, very, very crucial role in Bank Muamalat. He is the Chief Economist at Bank Muamalat. Once again, give it up for Dr. Nizam, everybody. Who here is studying economics? Make some noise. You are their role model today. You are their idol, okay? So this is your benchmark once you enter the working world. Now, Dr. Afzanizam is someone who is very, very important to Bank Muamalat, and he actually is a very well-known figure in Malaysia. Even Bank Negara and all that, very closely tied with him. Okay? He gives a lot of advice here and there. Now, he brings a wealth of expertise on national economic trends and policy analysis in economics and capital markets. And previously, Dr. Nizam was at EPF, Bank Islam, KWAP, to name a few. Yeah, Doctor? Sure. I think the whole thing all on your Wikipedia maybe.
This is like my 10th company actually.
The 10th company, and he's the chief economist, guys. Once again, give it up to Dr. Nizam, everybody.
Thank you.
And beside Dr. Nizam, we've got Ms. Fujia Lik, the CEO of Easy Consulting. Now, one of the biggest topics we'll be touching on today is about boutique consulting. Okay, in case you don't know what boutique consulting is, it's basically a niche way of consulting companies and whatnot on what they should do to improve their businesses. And this one also, wow, such a huge portfolio over here. Ms. Jia specializes in corporate strategy and leadership development, helping organizations adapt and stay competitive amid technological disruption and changing client demands. And her unique perspective on the consulting industry's transformation makes her a valuable asset in our discussion today. So welcome, Ms. Jia.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. And last but not least, everybody, we've got Mr. Low Yenwei or Yenwei. Give it up for Yenwei, everyone. Okay. Today we'll be talking about digital banking, and that is why Mr. Yenwei is here with us today. He is a pioneer in Malaysia's digital banking landscape. Mr. Low brings a cross-disciplinary generalist mindset to every venture. Very versatile guy, like everybody. In fact, he did not even study banking. He studied engineering, correct?
Yep.
Wow. Once again, give a big round of applause for all of our panelists today, everybody. Now, the title of today's podcast is Redefining Traditional Sectors in a Changing World. I think before we begin talking about the broad topic today, let's get to know our panelists first, okay? Now, Dr. Nizam, maybe you could share with all the students in UM here today and also those watching right now, what was your educational background? Were you like an economics boy from the get-go?
Well, not really. I started with a diploma in investment analysis from UITM. And then I further my bachelor's degree in finance. So basically, I'm in a business school category lah.
Right.
Also, when I did my second degree, which is my master's MBA, also in applied finance, still within business school. But I did my PhD sometime in 2008. So that's the moment where I found that there's a great distinction between the business and economics. In economics, there's a lot of maths. Yeah, I'm sure you guys know about it. The dx, dy lah kan, right? The econometrics, all that stuff. So yeah, it's a big difference there. But yeah, somehow I managed to pull it through. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And you did your PhD in UKM, correct?
UKM, I'm a local graduate, by the way. Yeah.
Local graduate, and he's a chief economist at one of the biggest banks in the country. So if you guys are sometimes beating yourself up, like, Allah, why am I a local graduate? My friends, some of them are studying abroad and whatnot. That does not indicate anything, I mean, he is a living proof that you can still be so successful even though you studied locally. Now, Miss Jia, you are an owner of a boutique consulting firm, right? Now, maybe you could explain a little bit more. What exactly is boutique consulting and what should you study to go into this direction?
Wow. Let's take the two questions, yeah? Boutique consulting, we're basically problem solvers for companies. Mm-hmm. So a lot of organizations, whether you have problems with regards to your products, your systems, your people, they engage with consultants to support the problem solving process. Mm-hmm. So boutique consultancy basically are very niche specialized firms in particular areas of their subject matters. All right, so there's many types of boutique consultings out there, whether it's in terms of PR branding,
right.
Boutique consulting firms in particular, product niche specializations. At Easy Consulting, we are more on business sustainability. So looking at how you address the ESG, how do you bring that from a boardroom vision into implementation across the organization?
Right.
And how to study.
Because what you studied was completely different. Tell them, what did you study back in uni?
Yes, my degree was in human genetics.
Human genetics, guys. She could have been in CSI Miami or something like that, but here she is starting her own consulting firm.
Yes, I think for consulting there is no degree called consulting per se, right? You don't study to be a consultant. In fact, I found out about the whole consulting industry only after graduation. So I would say, how do you get to become a consultant? Is if you're keen on problem solving, if you're keen on people, systems. That's how you can get into consulting.
I see.
Yeah, and I'm sure in university there's a lot of opportunities where companies and industry people will come to collaborate with the universities to find problem-solving hackathons or even like challenges on real business life issues, things like that. Participate in them and you might find out whether you are enjoying the consulting life in future.
So if you are a problem solver, can apply for a job from Miss Jia after this. I was like, got vacancy or not? Ada kosong tak? Kalau kosong, mana tak dapat job terus. Graduate terus dapat kerja dengan Miss Jia, dengan Easy Consulting, yeah?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. And of course, Yan Wei. Yan Wei is also another interesting case where he studied, was it chemical engineering?
Civil engineering.
Civil engineering. And here you are spearheading CAF, digital banking and whatnot. What about you? What drawn you to enter this field in banking?
Right. So maybe I start off, right? As someone who's you see, there's two case studies that studied something, then you do something else, right?
Yeah.
So you're not defined by what you kind of study, it's really more your interest, right? So to the question on what brings me to kind of banking, I think to start off, actually, I don't know, serendipity in a way, right? I know that when I started engineering, I wanted to do something about business. But then, there's this thing called, I like engineering as well, but there's this thing called sunk cost fallacy. You study already. Might as well just do a bit so that you don't waste your kind of knowledge and all those. So long story short, that became like 5 years, right? Then after 5 years, a lot of the Gen Zs now youth, back then I was a youth as well, like in a way. So it's like, I want to do entrepreneurship. Right. So, okay, I did out and I watched a lot of YouTube, podcasts and all those things. Long story short, I went up from corporate. I thought it's easy, but, in 6 months time, I just failed. Then I just call it, Then after that, I knew that I do not want to go back into construction. It's not that construction is not good. It's just not aligned with my interests.
Yeah.
I was just looking around for kind of opportunities. Yeah.
I love that. If there's anything that we can learn, kalau ada apa-apa yang kita boleh belajar daripada ketiga-tiga panelis kita adalah we have to be very resourceful, yeah? Because we might be studying something different and we might be venturing into something completely different upon graduation, but it all depends on how much we want to learn, that eagerness to succeed in our respective careers, yeah? Okay, now let's talk about the serious stuff right now. Jeng. Dr. Nizam dah takut dah ni. Maklumlah, kita ada chief economist. Of course, there are so many questions in our minds, betul tak? Pasal what's happening around the world right now when it comes to the economy. Straight off the bat, okay, when I ask you guys, when I say the word Donald Trump, what is the first thing on your mind? Tariff, exactly. I feel like now, even the most, out of touch Gen Z, if they go on their TikTok, they would eventually see something there about tariff and how Trump is imposing ridiculous percentage of tariffs to every single country, right? So, Dr. Nizam dah pressure dah. Aduh, nak tanya soalan apa dekat I ni. How bad is this thing that Donald Trump is doing right now? We always hear that, Donald Trump is imposing, like, let's say 24% of tariff onto Malaysia, onto China is like hundreds of percent and whatnot. Is that a bad thing, especially onto our country, Dr. Nizam?
Well, it is a bad thing because we are a trading nations, you see, and globalization is something which is unstoppable, and it has been going on for perhaps thousands of years actually. So been trading, and the tariff, what it can do is actually it raises the cost of doing business. So as a business, of course, what they will do is to pass on those additional costs to the end consumers. So we are seeing a situation where the cost of living is going to rise, and it can affect the economic growth. And somehow I think if it stays as it is now, I mean, you're talking about the reciprocal tariff at 24% for us.
Yeah,
that's bad. So I really hope this 90 days pause period can yield into a better outcome. And true enough, I think we have seen what has happening now between the US and China. There seems to be some concession in terms of the current tariff rates has been reduced. But at the end of the day, if they are not able to come any conclusion, any win-win solutions, that it will have a dire impact in terms of the economy globally. If you look at the recent forecasts made by the IMF, the World Bank, IMF for instance, they have marked down their growth forecast for this year globally, from 3.3% to 2.8%. That's 0.5 percentage points decline in terms of their forecast. So it reflects their concerns about these tariff issues now. Yeah, it's bad to put it in a blunt way here.
The pause is happening for 90 days, right? So within this period, has it been negatively affecting us already?
Already, I think there's still what they call a universal tariff of 10%. So that actually can be has an impact in terms of the cost of doing business. And so far, we still has yet to see the impact right away lah, because it's still new. But we are concerned about what it might happen in the second half of the year.
Aren't we all scared? So let's pause our... Tak payah pergi US for now, boleh? Can I say that? Tak payah pergi US for now?
Tak payahlah.
Tak payahlah. For now, okay? Thank you very much, Dr. Nizam.
Sure.
Okay, Gia, let's talk about boutique consulting. Let's talk about boutique consulting. Is it considered something that's still quite new in Malaysia?
Not at all, actually. Boutique consulting, I would say, the word sounds very
It
rare.
sounds foreign, you know. When I first read it, I was like, boutique consulting, oh my God, am I living under a rock?
Yeah, probably the word consulting itself is already a lot of question mark. What does that mean?
Yeah.
And then you add the word boutique into it.
Yeah.
Let's make it into layman terms. Boutique consultings are just smaller firms with very specialized knowledge in a specific area.
Right.
All right. So let's say, for example, it might be boutique. You can call the make it very, very simplified.
Okay.
You can call the people who are very, very good at solving all the electrical problems in your house, boutique consultants too, in the matter of electricity and wiring. All right. So, but the thing is, when you use the term boutique consulting, normally you focus very much on corporate needs. So rather than your housing needs, you look at like for corporations. There are boutique consultants who come in and very focused on helping companies solve any M&A preparation work, due diligence. All right. Those services are also present in the big consulting firms like the Big Four, MBB. They all provide those kind of services. They have specialized branches and division that do that as well.
Yeah.
But it's just one of the things out of the many they do. For boutique consultants, it is the thing, the one and only thing they do, and they are very, very deeply specialized in it.
So it's very niche, it's very specific in terms of what problems do these companies have and whatnot, and they need solving, right?
Correct.
Why do some clients still opt, like they prefer opting for boutique consulting firms compared to the bigger companies?
Right. I can only speak from Easy's Consulting's perspective and also my own experience. So I think one of the key things that boutique consultants bring to the table is intimacy. It's intimacy and the ability to have more face time for relationship and getting to know the deep, deep issues within the organization as through that human connection.
Right.
So for example, in a boutique consulting firm, you generally don't have the same number of clients as those larger firms. All right. With a smaller number of clients, it means that you have more time, you have more resources, and on top of that, the clients have better access to senior consultants in that boutique consulting firm. All right. So the intimacy is one of the key reasons a lot of clients come to us.
Right.
All right. Another thing is, of course, agility. Smaller firm, smaller bureaucracy.
Right.
Faster make things change.
Right.
Decision can change and shift a lot faster.
Right.
And when we are as a consultant, you want to solve problems.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you start solving a problem, you realize more problems. All right. And when you realize more problems, your solutions need to change. You need to move fast. The speed and agility is something that boutique consultants do bring to the table.
Right.
All right. And last but not least, at Easy, I think at the end of the day, it's that relationship and trust. Because the intimacy brings a lot more consistency in the people that you're dealing with. You don't suddenly change the PIC person in charge you're talking to. It's that consistency and safety, the trust that you can build with your clients.
Because it's more intimate as well, right? Between the clients and the consultants as well, right?
Correct.
But I'm sure it's quite challenging considering that it's not a big team. Your team, you have a team of 20 people?
Less than 20.
Less than 20 people.
Yes.
What is the most challenging part about that?
About running a whole boutique firm. I think the key thing, of course, it is the resources in terms of manpower.
Right.
All right. First off, let's look at the nature of consulting in itself. All right. The kind of talent that we need at Easy Consulting, we not only look for people who are having those consulting skills or technical skills.
Yeah.
At Easy, we focus very much on the core values of, are you looking to give value to others? And finding people with the like-mindedness is not so straightforward.
Right.
You don't really find that quickly through interviews or your CVs. Right. So finding the right people, I think we are very blessed to somehow magically connect with a lot of young talents. In fact, I would say the average age of our full-time consultants at Easy is below 30.
Wow.
Below 30. But we do collaborate with a lot of industry subject matter experts, like, for example, Dr. Nizam here. Experts like himself who will collaborate with on project basis.
Right.
So that's one of the ways how we solve the challenges of running a business like this, where we do a lot of partnerships. We do a lot more collaboration.
Right.
So we are very clear what we focus on and what we do not.
I see.
And the things that we do not, we partner.
I love
Yes.
that. Compartmentalizing at best, isn't it?
Correct.
Knowing which is the priority, yeah? Thank you very much, Jia. Okay, Yanwei, digital banks. I think, it's still fairly new in Malaysia. Well, digital banking or mobile banking, we've seen that for so many years already. But digital banks where there's no physical branches and everything, I think it's still something quite foreign to Malaysians, right? What is the biggest difference between digital banks and online banking? Or is it actually the same thing?
Right, so that's a good question, right? So before I start, maybe just a quick disclaimer, whatever I share today is just on my personal capacity. Why? Is because digital banking is a very hot topic in the market. Everyone will try to quote everyone and all those things. So the question on whether digital banking and online banking is the same thing, I think let's speak layman terms, because from someone who comes from construction,
Yeah.
I know nothing about banking, I know nothing about tech, I know nothing about IT. So to consumers, to us, right, actually it's the same, right? Digital banking is new to Malaysia in a sense where you don't have a branch to go and just scold or maki the orang, hey, how come my card is locked and whatsoever, right? All this servicing needs to be done online, right? So that's kind of like the differentiating factor of a digital bank, right? So that is in terms of the business model. So because of that, we are reliant a lot on our IT and kind of tech infrastructure and resources. So there is a lot of room for kind of innovation, right, in that perspective, right? Because we are building something from scratch, we are setting the foundation, as opposed to you dah masuk the other rumah already, you want to shift this thing, you need to kind of see, what's the constraint and all other things, right?
Yeah.
So we have the kind of flexibility to kind of build something from scratch, and hence, innovation takes time as well, right? To layman, right, like all of us, right, it was like, hey, digital bank means that you all must be better. That will definitely be the goal. Everyone will have different target segment and different pain points that we want to serve. But need to know that we are actually building our house from scratch, right? They are bigger banks and all those, imagine them, they already got the fittings, furniture, dah semua sana. We are building and now we are slowly kind of like decorating in-house, right? So to kind of see the true kind of innovation and all those things, it will be there, but it will take time because, the foundation takes time to kind of build, right?
Right. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Yan Wei. Okay, now back to every time it's Dr. Nizam, right? I get very pressured. Dr. Nizam gets very pressured also because the questions are going to be so heavy. Okay, I'm sure, because this is something that I heard from the team, that you guys are very much interested to know about BRICS. Is that right? You guys were the ones who asked this question, apparently. So we've seen recently that, our Prime Minister, PMX, he was seen recently with the President of China, Xi Jinping, and then more recently he was with Vladimir Putin as well. And of course, talks about Malaysia joining BRICS has been around. Why is it so important for Malaysia to actually join BRICS? Or do you think this is something that is a direction we should be going for, Dr. Nizam?
Sure, I think we can't really run away from talking about geopolitics in the current context. Especially now where we can see the Trump administration are very hostile in terms of how, even during his tenure in Trump 1.0, 2016 up until 2020, and it's been continued under Biden administrations, is very hostile. So it is quite, I would say, strategic to find ways, to find parties that are more friendly, that are more open to trades and investments, and who actually celebrates rule-based kind of a world order. So that kind of mentality actually drives what people know drawn into BRICS and its community, so to speak. So it's a matter of finding a better partner and be able to trade, because at the end of the day, we have our own niche, we have our own skill set, and we need others to trade and everything. So having more relationship with BRICS would actually help us to mitigate the impact, because obviously what Trump is going to do next is beyond our control.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure he's going to seek another term, although it's constitutionally is very impossible to do that. But being Trump, anything
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Exactly.
We didn't even foresee this happening.
Yeah, true.
Right, and what are some things about BRICS that should be an example to Malaysia as well in terms of their economy and whatnot?
Well, I guess it's the size, and of course, China, obviously, being the technology driver, you can see how the technology companies in China has been mushrooming and be able to go to the next level. I can see, we talk about AI kan, DeepSeek recently, how such a small investment can actually become a competitor to the incumbent. So on that note, I think I'm quite positive on this development. I really hope that we can learn a lot from China in terms of technology, and perhaps there could be some technology transfers to happen. But of course, people will actually try to associate what's going to happen between us and in the US, the geopolitical of it. So these discussions is going to take hold, and a lot of skepticism. So this is where I think our leaders' wisdom is very important to navigate these challenges and to be able to portray that we are neutral parties, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, above all, is to have a clear communications to the people, to the rakyat, that these are the challenges and the government is taking steps and measures to navigate this. Yeah.
Now, how is our economy actually doing right now? You know, if we go online, takut dah. Alamak, kira tanya soalan macam ni. Because sometimes, right, we just don't know what to believe. Because, you know, you open Twitter or X, people are saying these things. You open TikTok, people are saying something different, you know. But as someone who's an expert in this field, are we actually doing okay currently?
I think we are doing okay. Yesterday, the economy, for the Q1 GDP, it has been announced yesterday. The country has been able to grow at a rate of 4.4%, slightly slower compared to 4.9% in the previous quarter. But I think if you look at the jobs, many people are having jobs now. Yeah. The unemployment rate says it all. I mean, it's very low. But there are, of course, issues. Issues with respect to our economy. I mean, we talk about the quality of the jobs. We talk about underemployment. So these are the structural issues that requires policies to address it, and it will take some time to actually yield a positive result. So it's an ongoing affair. But to talk about the growth momentum as it is now, for now, it's still okay. But given this, as we mentioned earlier on about the impact of tariff, I think there's been talks of recession.
That's so scary.
Right. So on that note, actually, it's about talking about the economic cycle. So I like to use this evidence, so to speak. The last time that we had recession, it was in 2020. The economy contracted about 5.5%. Prior to that, it was in 2009. Malaysian economy contracted minus 1.5%. And before that, it was in, of course, 1998. The economy, of course, contracted severely at minus 7.4%. So if you notice the timeline, it's kind of every 10 years there will be one recession.
Oh my goodness,
So I know it sounds scary, but looking from a strategic point of view, as a business, perhaps you can time your strategy, you see? Because we understand the cycle, and you should be able to navigate how you should deploy your resources, your planning and whatnot. And I think the government knows about this, but it's just that we mentioned recession, kemelisitan economy is very scary word so for now, I think we are okay. But I think the government also acknowledge that the impact of tariff is something that is quite severe. I think yesterday when Bank Negara announced the results, they also mentioned about the possibility of revising the current forecast, GDP forecast of 4.5% to 5.5% at the moment. But they may need more time to do that. They require about 1 to 2 months time to decide. But basically the message is that given the current environment that we are in, the tariff shocks and whatnot, the downside risk to economic growth is elevating, is rising. So that should be a key takeaway for us here.
And it's a good point that you mentioned. Due to the pattern that we see, like every 10 years, it's as if there's going to be a new recession. Susun strategi tu sangatlah penting sebenarnya, kan?
But I think we have seen worse I think. COVID-19, right? We survived, I think, right?
It was unknown. There was so much was going to
Exactly.
happen. Can we
I
go
can't
out the
believe we went
house?
through that time, man.
Man.
In our lifetime.
Imagine being locked up in the house.
Would you
I
ever have
cannot
thought
go
that?
through that again. That was so traumatizing. Unless you guys are introverts, that will be the greatest time of your life. Tak payah keluar rumah. But people like me, imagine cakap banyak, duduk dalam rumah, memang, that was a horrible experience. Now, picking up on what Dr. Nizam mentioned about unemployment rates, nowadays, yes, it is quite worrying. I'm sure among you guys, students as well, there's a bit of fear there that if you graduate, what if it's so difficult to find a job, because nowadays, even those who have had a lot of working experience, if they leave their company, to find the next job is so difficult, right? So as a CEO, Ms. Jia, what are some things that you can tell everyone here right now, in terms of work ethics that we should adapt to ensure we are good team players in a company?
Right. I think maybe I can share something one of the strongest influences in my life has said to me all the while growing up. It's my father, actually.
Wow.
All right. And he has always said this one thing. It's my father, actually.
Wow.
All right. And he has always said this one thing. Always think about what value you can create for other people. And that simple line actually holds true wherever you go. Even during university, as a student, what value am I giving my own classmates?
Yeah.
What value am I bringing in this lecture hall today by being present here? What difference did your presence make?
Right.
And if you're always having that mindset in every single thing that you do, all right, you will not worry about unemployment.
Right.
There's no worry of unemployment. If your focus is always on what am I going to get? What are you going to give me? That's when you are limiting your own choices.
Right.
But if you're asking, what can I give? And you're always on that mindset, employers will fall in love with you.
That's amazing.
You are the type of people that others, no matter industry, positions, they want people who can give on their team. And those people will one day become leaders. So I would say it's a simple sentence, but it really does shift a lot of my decision making. It actually shapes also my core values as a person. And when I realized that you are always doing things for others, putting others first, you are already valuable.
Wow.
And that, I would say, will help resolve a lot of those fears or worries or questions about what's my future.
Yeah. It's not just about like, what's in it for me. It's like, what are you giving to people out there? What value are you adding, right?
Correct.
How many years have you been forming your company already? Has it been 10 years?
Actually, I did not form the company myself, definitely. I am a
You
firm
co-founded,
believer of
right.
collaboration.
Right.
Yes, I am. Surprisingly, I was very, very lucky. In fact, I own, in a sense, it's my first job till now. From graduation, I joined a company. All right, I was very lucky, very blessed to have found my kind of people in my own bosses, my own
You're so
seniors
lucky.
at the time.
From the get-go, you found your people.
Yes, or maybe I psycho my own mindset to define it that way. But I'm really, really very blessed.
Right.
And so what happened was we spoke the same language, which is giving value to others.
Yeah.
How can we help others, whether it is their own lives, the business itself, make things easier for other people, right? And so at that time, me and my boss at the time, all right, we were looking at, hey, we are really interested in sustainability.
Right.
All right, why don't we do it ourselves? So me and my two bosses, they are both executive directors of Easy Consulting as well.
Right.
We took a chance. All right, we said, hey, we have a group of people who can do good things together.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And so we started the company. Interestingly enough, the company was registered April 2020.
Wow. Oh my God. That was like the peak COVID when we started
Yes,
going to
The
lockdown.
D-Day.
Peak
my God.
COVID, yes. So I still remember the date. I think it was 18 March that the
We went
lockdown
into
was
lockdown,
announced.
Yeah. And yours was 2 days after that.
Yes.
Yours April. is it?
April.
A month later.
So the registration was of course, the conversations and collaboration started way before already.
Yeah.
Okay. So strictly speaking, if you want to talk about from paper to answer your question, Easy Consulting has been around since 2020,
About
5 years now.
yeah.
5 years now. But the way we work, the collaboration and the type of work that we are doing has been there since the inception of the company I joined since
Right.
2007.
Right.
And right now, I think I've been in this industry more than 10 years already.
Wow.
Yes.
Because I really want to know, because you did mention just now, to be a good team player, of course, you got to find what are you bringing to the table, right? What value are you adding? But what are some of the biggest No Nos that you've been seeing among those you've recruited before? You feel like, don't be like this. Don't be. If you be like this, I'll fire you. What are some of the traits to avoid in the working world?
Big no-nos.
Or are you just a kind-hearted boss? You feel like everything okay, only it's okay. You are
I try.
Positive boss.
I think we all try, but I think the biggest no-no is more of when there's no desire for improvement. When there's no desire, there's no hunger to be better.
Right.
Because maybe it's also due to the line that we are in consulting. Our job is to fix problems. Our job is to be better. We have to be better.
Yeah.
If we are not better, our clients won't come to us. If we are not competent, our clients won't come to us. So I think it's not about coming in at a level of I'm skilled, I'm already there, then only I can be a consultant.
Yeah.
But it's more like the more, I think I heard this phrase recently. Essentially, what it means is the more you learn, the more you realize what you don't know.
I love that line.
Yes, I think that phrase was very beautifully placed. The more the island of your knowledge grows, the more the shore of your unknown expands.
Beautiful.
And that's crazy. Yes, the more you learn, your island grows bigger, but so did the shores of your ignorance grows as well.
Wow.
So if somebody, I would say, maybe not just in consulting, maybe in banks, digital or traditional as well, right? If you have somebody who is always looking at, okay, this is enough, like that also can, kind of mentality, it would be very difficult to collaborate with individuals like that.
Right.
It would be very difficult to grow with individuals like that. And as a boutique consulting firm, we are small. One person have to play multiple hats. You do need to be multi-skilled.
Yeah.
There's no space to go with, that's not my JD.
Right.
It's so typical.
It does happen though. The phrase does come up, it's not in my JD. But the funny thing is, if you start thinking like that, it's not in your JD, then you are keeping yourself there.
Yeah.
You're
caging yourself just there. You're not
correct.
expanding, you're not growing, progressing.
Yeah. So if you want that position, you want to be a manager first. The title will come to you. Do that work that you want to be at first. That title will come to you.
And I really love the quote that you shared earlier just now. The more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know.
Yes.
You know, that's something that we should all hold on to. Even as students, in fact, you don't have to just wait till the day that you're already employed. I think even as students in your assignments and whatnot, you should always hold on to that principle, and that's going to help you a lot. And this is a question that I also want to ask Yan Wei and also Dr. Nizam as well, because we are already wrapping up before the Q&A session starts. So for Yan Wei, what's your advice for all the students here who are interested in joining your line of work?
Right. I suppose going back into one, curiosity, and two, willing to kind of take massive action. Where I'm coming from is I've talked to a lot of youth and all those things, right? A lot of y'all kind of share that, for instance, I like investment banking, I want to do investment banking, or I like this particular part of field and all those things. But all those kind of desire is not translated into action, right? So with ChatGPT and all those things available now, how often are you really using ChatGPT to prompt and really gain kind of knowledge, right? So in a sense, if you are interested in something, you kind of need to demonstrate that to the employer as well, right? A lot of people say like, I like to kind of do policy, research on policy, but when asked the question, so what are the materials that you read and all those things? A lot of them just academics, right? So kind of really need to go beyond kind of academics. Then that's one. I think number two is really be willing to fail, right? I think it's where I'm coming from is that, this is common among high achievers, where you want to get all the tiny achievements right. Your email must be correct. In classes, you don't want to ask the stupid questions, you want to ask the most educated questions and all those things, right? So in the field of, let's say, even consulting and digital banking, in the disruptive kind of economy, coming to you, there's a lot that you do not know, right? So we kind of need to embrace the learn by doing kind of thing. In academics, all of y'all have a semester, you have a module, then you have your final exams, right? And most of the time, you hate the lecturers that come up with topics or questions that's out of syllabus. Out of syllabus.
Correct, right? It happens, right? Last minute, how come out this one?
But in real life working world, everything is out of syllabus, right? So you kind of need to, it's important to get the grades, first class or second class to kind of void your PTPN or whatsoever. But where I'm coming from is really just embrace the unknown, just be curious and demonstrate that by doing it. Don't just think about it. Show proof that you have done something. Collaborate with others. Take part in all the other things. Right. That's a quick few pointers lah.
Letting action speak louder than words, right? Whether you
Correct.
say, I want to do this, I want to achieve this, but put in the work as well, yeah? And don't be afraid to fail as well. Because sometimes that could be an opportunity to grow even more and learn more, yeah? Thank you very much, Yan Wei. Okay, now for all of you aspiring economists out there, those who are studying business or economics, our Abang Long is here to give you some advice. Okay, what are some things that we should keep in mind to become a good economist?
Well, I guess you need to read a lot and keep abreast with the current development. And with all the readings, it helps shape your mind. And of course, now we have so much technologies can be used to access all those informations. So, of course, apart from reading, I think because there's a lot of videos, like I always like to watch Jeffrey Sachs, the prominent economist from Columbia University. So by watching that, it can actually help you to aspire to become a good economist. And beyond that, of course, to excel in your studies, obviously, there's a lot of areas to look at, right? Labor economics, development economics, financial economics. So pick and choose areas that you like, and just go excel and do good stuff. And whenever you have that assignments, do it like you are in a real world, and try to, because there's a lot of reading material at the moment. I mean, especially those who are interested in financial economics. You can look at all the stockbroking reports, to try to emulate, to see what are the contents being discussed, being put in that reports, you see. So that would actually help, I think, to be a good economist, I would say. Yeah.
What are some things from your uni days that you don't regret doing, that you feel like, actually, thinking back, that helped you a lot, making you who you are today? Maybe they could learn from that.
Well, I guess, well, actually, when I started this, when I was in Form 5, I have I'm clueless what to do, actually. Right. But during that time, I still remember the people have been talking about the stock market was so bullish that time.
Right.
So I have this auntie who has been advising me. Said, "Hey Nizam, why not you take diploma investment analysis? Nanti you boleh jadi remisers." Wow. So remisers tu I tahu sekarang dah tak ada the profession. I think so.
My father was a remiser last time.
Dulu, right? But those days, it was in 1993. Remisers was the in thing lah.
Right.
But then after that, it evolved. So I guess being open to opportunities. I remember also when I joined EPF way back in 2001 as a fixed income analyst. Never I thought that I would become economist. Actually, I wanted to be an equity analyst. Actually,
equity analyst,
the investment analyst. So, but because of the exposure, but somehow perhaps divine intervention. So my point here is, I think you should be open to any opportunities, and perhaps it will guide you through there to be where you are.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think we've learned a lot from our panelists today, right, guys? Give it up for our panelists today. And by the way, I want to pick up about something. We were talking about digital banks with Yan Wei earlier, and actually Bank Muamalat themselves are going to open up their own digital bank, which is called Atlas, Dr. Nizam, very, very soon. So keep a lookout for Bank Muamalat's brand new digital bank very, very soon. Okay, I believe now is the time for us to take questions from the floor.
Hello. Okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. So my name is Nafis and I am a Bachelor of Economics student here at UM. So my question is maybe can relate with some of us in the Dewan. Okay. So basically my question is, why do Malaysia have such a lower job opportunities in STEM, while like 5 days ago, PM Anwar Ibrahim just stated that 70% of the students wants to need to push in the STEM education. Okay, so like my point of view is, I saw that Malaysia are trying really hard to push in the STEM education, but somehow the job opportunities in STEM are so much lower than the finance, than the business, than the economics itself. So I was a pure science stream student too, and I realized that maybe if Malaysia, besides them push the science education in school, they should push science career jobs too. That I believe it will help to become a much more developed country like the US and the UK. So in the future, do you think that like Malaysia will become a producing nation rather than consuming nation as for now? If we push the job career of science into to some extent level.
All right, thank you, Nafis. Who's going to take this?
The economists.
The Economist.
Okay. Well, I guess your line of questioning is about the knowledge lah, especially in areas relating to science, technology, engineering, and also maths, which is very lacking at the moment. From my conversation with the industry players, one of the main complaints is that the talents within that sphere is not that much lah. It's not widely available, and therefore, I think the government is pushing for more STEM graduates lah. So on that note, I think we need STEMs to grow the economy. Basically, we want to inculcate more innovations, more creativity, and that leads to more higher productivity along the way. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, the amount of the specializations, the areas of studies, I think it has to be mixed lah. It has to be because at the end of the day, there are so many areas to look at. You see, and I think and establishing a niche also is also important. So my view on STEM is that it's very important, but let's not forget other areas lah. And if you look at our countries, there's so many things to be developed. Even something that is very basic also still need to be attended to lah. Look at for instance our agriculture sector. We have been recording trade deficits persistently for many years already. Last year we recorded about close to 40 billion deficits in agri-food. And we imported around 93 billions, guys. You see, so that means there's a lot of gaps in the agriculture sector that may require technology. So you see how STEMs can actually be used to increase productivity, to increase yield in the agri-food sector, which can bring benefits to the society. So I think we need to have a big picture lah. STEM is important. And is critical to improve, but how we link it to other sectors that at the end of the day it brings prosperity lah to the whole nations. Yeah.
Actually, can I add my personal experience onto what Dr. Nizam also mentioned about that blending? I think just like the person who asked the question earlier, I came from a very science background, human genetics, right? But I literally at that time was, after my degree, I was looking at, okay, what job do I have as options? It's really a question mark, you know? And I went into a Master's for International Business Management. At that time, I really felt that STEM knowledge, studies, and STEM careers has nothing to do with the business school. So even in university, it's totally two different schools, two different faculties, probably the furthest away from each other. All right. However, now that I'm in the industry, especially in the topic of business sustainability, there is so much need for talents, just like Dr. Nizam has said just now, who can solve and redefine the way we work in businesses. How do we even put cars on the road? How do we plant our current plantations, right? The technology needed there. There is a lot of new, I would say, STEM-related business opportunity to contribute towards the direction of business sustainability. Like, for example, did we really, Malaysia has the third oldest rainforest in the world. How many of us know that, right? And what are the opportunities you can discover to bridge between your economist knowledge that you gain from your studies here in university, all right, and bridge that and move into STEM, because the gaps are there, just like Dr. Nizam said. The opportunities are there. Can you define it? And sometimes really the question is going back to creating value for others. Instead of waiting for the jobs, there's so much support for a lot of university and startups nowadays, right? Go and try. I think, where you've tried, attempted, failed. Never mind, just keep trying. All right, work it out one day, and I believe like that question. I'm really looking forward to more talents and more small startups that can really bridge that gap for big businesses who need to worry about their carbon footprint, need to worry about sometimes even their human rights, human labor, that kind of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of things that can really marry between the STEM and the business spheres. Compared to back then, when I was in university, I felt two different worlds, nothing to do with each other.
Where they can integrate actually.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you once again for that question, Nafis. Yeah. Okay, next question. Wow, I love how proactive you guys are. Okay, let's go with... Alright. Bagus daripada UM ni.
Hi, my name is Tunku Adam and I'm an A-level student from Sunway College. So my question is actually, a major factor contributing to the low wages seen in Malaysia is actually our reliance on low value added industries, such as like raw produce, etc. So Malaysia needs to, how do you think that Malaysia can push to move up the value chain, since it's like a key factor to escaping the middle income trap and achieving high income status? Obviously, I heard just now about talent, right? How can we actually increase? Because obviously, one of the solutions as mainly mentioned is innovation-driven growth. But how can we actually push for innovation-driven growth when there's so much brain drain happening in Malaysia? All of our talents are leaving the country because they think that it's more ideal to go to other countries. I once asked this in another forum actually to one of an MP, but then they gave me a really like general answer and like, we should just call back everyone to come back to Malaysia, but never really explained how. So I wasn't really satisfied with that answer, but I'm hoping that you can give me a better answer to that. Thank you.
All right. Who's going to take this first question? There's two questions just now, right? Question number one. Good question though. Who's going to take the first question?
I think if it talks about low wages, I think it's real. I think if you look at the recent remarks made by the former governor, Tan Sri Muhammad Ibrahim, he mentioned about the fresh graduates starting salary between his time and now, not much different. That is true. I think the government is looking at it, and then through interventionist policies like minimum wage, progressive wage policies. Those are the intervention policies that has been made lah. But I think beyond government intervention, I think we need to put the right perspective. I think what Jia said about bringing value to the employers or prospective employers, then it's about how actually you demonstrate yourself in terms of the values that you bring in. And wages essentially tells you about the price. How much the labor can be priced with the skill set they have and with their level of education. If I look at myself, when I started my job in 1999, at that point in time, yes, I have to apply for jobs, go for interviews. But after a while, I didn't go for interviews no more. There will be recruitment agencies calling you up, the opportunities comes to you because perhaps the values they see in you, right? But to put values, that requires hard work, guys. It doesn't mean that, okay, I have a degree in this area and therefore this is my salary. That's like an entitlement kind of a mentality, which is wrong, guys. If you do that, you won't go far. Trust me. So I think you need to change that mindset. Like what Jia said about bringing values. and be open to new opportunities, new field. So this thing will actually add up to your values, and then you can, at some point in the future, you can command a better pay or better package that. So guys, I think the government is, through their means and ways, there's certain limitations. Yeah. I think the progressive wage policy is the right thing to do lah. I think the government is trying to shift the subsidy way of doing things lah. Meaning they want to shift from consumption-based subsidies towards capacity-building subsidies kind of intervention policies. So I think the shift is happening, but this would require a high degree of political will lah. Kan? We talk about subsidies, and the biggest, the elephant in the room, obviously, subsidies related to RON 95 lah. Kan? So it's an ongoing affair, but us as a prospective labor, kan, going forward, you need to think about yourself. How actually you are going to control yourself and be able to have a better values going forward. That really depends on you. So yeah, that's my response. If you continue to rely on the government will do the magic, then I think you won't go far. Trust me. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Nizam.
Yeah, then maybe can I try to add higher value chain, better paying jobs, reducing brain drain, right? The practical side of things, if you ask me, is someone willing to be more innovative and dream big in Malaysia to create a company, another company like Grab and all those things, right? Because according to surveys, right, Gen Zs now are kind of like also attracted to the vision and mission and all those things, right? So apart from salary and all those things, that is real, right? If you do not have a family and all those things, if you have a bigger salary, why not go to Singapore, right? The structural there is so much better. So I think the question is really, being disruptive, the youth and all those things, right? Can we ourselves be the bosses of a company like Jia and all those things and just create businesses and all those things that become big enough that attracts and retains the talent, right? Essentially, that seems impossible, but if you ask me, the most practical one is for those who are asking those questions, how to prevent brain drain and all those things, right? If you are waiting for the government and all those things, we are just waiting. We can't change the structural side. What we can change is our own action. It sounds simple, right? But it's very difficult, right? So just imagine this, right? Where I'm coming from is, imagine there's a Grab that's stationed in Malaysia, founded by Malaysia, it is by Malaysian, right? If it stays in Malaysia, will the brain drain still happen to Singapore? Maybe not, because we have got a national pride, right? So how many companies in future can we really kind of promote, and how many of us youth are willing to kind of take the risk and all those things, or what the parents say, get a good paying job lah and all those things lah. Yeah, you need to risk. Entrepreneurship means that you're risking a lot, Like for instance, you might get paid much more lesser 5 or 7 years down the road, and you might fail, right? So is anyone willing to be bold enough, and is there a lot of people being bold enough to create that ecosystem so that we can retain the talent? That is how we fight. We cannot fight with currencies and all those things. So that's just my thoughts, right? Wonderful. So it starts from y'all and us.
Jia, anything you want to add?
I think the key takeaway here is really going back to being the solution, right? So if we personally, that anyone in here today really feels like we need to solve the brain drain issue, all right, then we also have to ask the tough questions to ourselves. How much do I prioritize building in Malaysia versus my immediate quick salary I can get if I do go anywhere else? Right? The same question I had to face when I started my first job as well. It's a question of, I'm joining a company nobody has heard of.
Right.
All right. And when I talk to my parents, what is consulting, they don't understand. Right? Until now, very difficult to explain. Like problem solve for companies, how people pay you. But the idea is, what are your priorities specifically? And honestly, sometimes while one person we are small as a single person. So instead of trying to solve the big structure problem, like what you mentioned just now, focus on what you yourself can do first. And really the first 3 to 5 years of your career, focus on building value for others, but also by doing that, you're making yourself valuable. And one day you will get that position. People will come to you, opportunities will come to you. Policymakers might one day come to you and say that, hey, you have done a lot of work in this field. What can we do to support more young talents like yourself to come out? And that's what we want to see.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, we have time for one last question. Perhaps the one at the back? Yes. Sorry guys, not much time left.
Hi, my name is Afiq. I'm currently final year econ student in University Malaya, majoring in development studies. So my question is, as we work toward redefining traditional sectors in a rapidly changing world, how do you guys see the role of social enterprises in bridging socio-economic inequality within the business landscape? Can this model drive meaningful transformation in traditional sectors? Like how Ms. Jali just said just now, it's not about creating our own knowledge, but also not knowledge, our values, but other values also. So yeah, that's all.
All right, social enterprise, yeah? Okay, Miss Gia then.
All right, social enterprise, maybe let's quickly define that first. There is no one definition again, but how I see it, social enterprise is if you have your purpose of your organization aligned so closely into your DNA of the organization that it is as equally important as profits. All right, you are a social enterprise. There are some people who argue, oh, you're making profit, you're not a social enterprise. Let's cut through the noise.
Yeah.
All right. So what I would say is the answer is yes, social enterprises definitely make a difference. In fact, social enterprises are I would say easier to adopt into the whole agenda of business sustainability. So a lot of large organizations, they have reached a size, they have reached a sense of legacy, structures built, policies built, processes set in stone, kind of thing can change, right? But quite fixed, right? To move towards bridging all these social inequalities or bridging a lot of environmental needs, it takes a lot more effort to move a big organization versus a smaller social enterprise. So social enterprise, I would say, go out, create them, profitability can still be there, but what is your social impact, your environmental impact? And if you do what you do in your niche area well enough, large organizations will come and look for you. Large conglomerates are looking for solutions, are looking for that talent, the STEM talent who can solve their business sustainability issues. Right. So I would say definitely yes to solve the problem, but also the hard work needed behind that. It's not an easy path either.
There you go. Thank you very much, Gia. Everybody, that wraps up our symposium of the day, everybody. Was it good? Do you guys learn a lot? Yes? All right. So we are looking at the future Dr. Nizam, the future Gia, the future Yanwei, all in this hall right now. Personally, even myself as well, coming from a completely different background from the three of our panelists, I've learned so much from the three of you. Thank you very much, Dr. Nizam. Thank you, Gia. Thank you, Yanwei.
Thank you very much.
Now, to all of you guys, if you guys want to catch up with more episodes of Bank Muamalat's podcast, please follow us on our YouTube channel, which is Bank Muamalat, as well as on our TikTok account, okay? Till the next episode of ApeCer by Bank Muamalat. Assalamualaikum. Bye, everybody. Bye, guys.